Holberg says, from the beginning, we wanted it to be an inter-religious project, not a place built by Christians, in which Jews and Muslims would then be added. No, but for all three religions to have equal prayer space on the same floor, with each floor leading to a common room where the different religions would be able to converse. And again, here's one of their promo videos. Watch this.
We have inherited a large house, a great world house, said Martin Luther King. We all inhabit this world house, our earth. We see that the world is growing together and that we have to learn to live with each other. Increasingly, religions are colliding, as strangers, as friends, often also as rivals or enemies. For this reason, Jews, Christians and Muslims have come together in Berlin to dare to attempt something new. We want to build a completely new sacred building, a synagogue, a church and a mosque under the same roof, and at its center, a meeting place. The House of One. It shall be located in the heart of Berlin, in the place where the city was founded 800 years ago. It shall be a unique, peaceful place for encounters, meetings, and exchanges between people from different religions, and also for those who are removed from religion. Everyone is invited to come. Every interest, every question, every support is welcome. With every peaceful dialogue and every good wish, the cloud of blessing will grow. One earth, one mankind, one home. The House of One.
Nuts. And again, that's just the beginning. The World Council of Churches, remember we saw that last time in the video? If you guys were here for that last video. A group of Christian Muslims and Jewish youths have now formed a multi-faith community to, quote, protect the earth, which they say is a concern, again, for all faiths. We got to merge religions together because it's going to blow up the planet, right? And let me give you some examples. And again, notice they're using youth, just like Hitler did, right? Gravitate the younger mind, theistic ones, turning them into pluralistic. You got it? Because that's what you need for a one-world religion. Now, it's also here in America's schools. In case you don't go to Berlin or make it to Nebraska, students in Colorado are being encouraged to recite a pledge in Arabic saying, "One nation under Allah." Oh, yeah. New York is observing Muslim New Year holidays and also Hindu festivals. Diwali, it's a big Hindu festival if you're not familiar with that. California, shocker, is bowing down to the sun god as a part of liturgical, and these are in schools, by the way, liturgical ritual religious practices aimed at becoming one with God through yoga. Again, yoga, that's another oxymoron. Christian yoga, no such thing, because it's not Christian. Yoga means to yoke. It means to yoke yourself with the Hindu deities. And what's God say? Don't yoke. Literally, if you want to do a play on words, don't yoga with other religions. And yoga is Hinduism. And it's a physical practice to get you into an altered state of consciousness to commune with the demons, the Hindu deities. But that you can do that in school, but you can't read the Bible? Well, what's going on with that? The founder, Sonia Tudor Jones, says she wants to, quote, spread the gospel, uses our word, of Ashtanga yoga through the country and even nationally. Well, get your kids out of school. How many times you got to say it? Homeschool. Dalai Lama was allowed to open, not only that Hindu guy, but Dalai Lama opened the Senate meetings, and the senators bowed their heads in prayer. Dalai Lama prayed, quote, "With our thoughts we make our world." No, you're not. You're not God. The world you are making is the antichrist kingdom with the one world religion. Speaking of Congress, Interfaith School for Military Chaplains has been dedicated. Priests, rabbis, imams, and Protestant ministers, so-called, came together to dedicate themselves in the nation's first joint military multi-faith education center. And it's coming to the church. You're thinking, well, that's just parachurch organizations, other organizations, secular schools. We expect that. No. Here's just a little teaser of what's going on in the fakers in the church community. They're going along with this, as long as with the LGBTQ RSBZ thing. The Global Faith Forum kicked off in Texas. Hundreds of Christians, Muslims, Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, and atheists convened at Northwoods Church in Texas in an effort to try to understand one another. Representatives of the Jewish, Catholic, Protestant, Baha'i, Mormon, Sikh, Vedic, Druid, and Muslim beliefs in Sacramento, that's where I got saved, read scriptures from each other's religious texts, including 6 verses from the Quran, calling for all faiths to live in harmony. And again, they uttered this refrain, "Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me." Well, let the one world religion begin and let it begin with you. That's what's going on. This is in the church, folks. A bishop is now urging Christians to call God Allah, and a Catholic leader believes it would help ease the tensions between the religions. Excuse me? And now even in Vegas, I don't know if you guys know this, these are annual yearly events. Here in Las Vegas, they have annual interfaith meetings, as you can see here, right? Every year. Watch this.
Good evening, everyone. Hi. Our panelists this evening are, first of all, representing Islam, Dr. Aslam Abdullah, who is the director of the Islamic Society of Nevada. Then we'll be hearing from our Episcopal representative, Reverend Dr. Jim Wallace, from Grace in the Desert Episcopal Church. Following Jim will be Mr. Taji Malik, representing the Sikh faith from the Gurdwara, Baba Deep Singh Ji. From Humanism, we have Mr. Mel Lippman, who's the immediate past president of the American Humanist Association Union. From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Mrs. Ruth Johnson is here, and in addition to being a community activist, she's on the board or the public affairs committee, is that right? Yes, of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and representing the Baha'i faith is Mrs. Elham Famasi. First of all, we assume that our religious beliefs are our most deeply held beliefs, and as such, we do not try to change the beliefs of others. There's no debate, there's no challenging, there's no defending one's belief in this environment. There's no proselytizing.
That's biblical. Jesus said what? Get out there in all the world and what? You tell them he's the only way, the truth, the life, the only way to heaven. Make disciples, baptize. Excuse me? This is crazy. Every year, folks, this goes on in Vegas, our own community. Christians are now celebrating religious diversity, what they call Pentecost Sunday. Okay, on Pentecost Sunday, Christian churches across the United States are dedicating their worship celebration to our interfaith world. Progressive Christians thank God for religious diversity. Quote, we don't claim that our religion is superior to all others. These are supposed to be Christians. We can grow closer to God and deeper in compassion. And we can understand our own traditions better through a greater awareness of the world's religions. Sponsored by the Center of Progressive Christianity, they now call it Pluralism Sunday. Will be promoted throughout churches, and participating churches will be profiled in publicity releases, creating an evangelism opportunity for your congregation. Because it's all about the numbers, right? Just jack it up, gives me people in there. That's a successful church nowadays. Yeah, that's the lie. The number of people looking at that website is 40,000 per month. And they say, we believe Pluralism Sunday is an opportunity for progressive churches to reach some of the many people who are turned off, watch this, by Christianity because of its exclusivist claims that some Christians make about it. I didn't make it up, it's Jesus. He said it, John 14:6. Crazy. Many professing Christians are now holding universalist views. Watch this. 1 in 4 professing Christians believe that all people are eventually saved or accepted by God. What? Even higher proportion, 40% of people, they even say they're born-again Christians, said they believe that Christians and Muslims worship the same God. You know, like Bush Jr. Sorry, can't do that. And the Claremont School of Theology, it's supposed to be a Christian school, has launched a program to train leaders, quote, not all Christians, Jews, and Muslims believe that their way is the only way. Christians, Muslims, and Jews will now have the opportunity to take classes together to learn about each other's religious traditions, to study topics that deal specifically with interfaith issues and build bridges through coursework that assists them, our society's future religious leaders. Can I describe that to you? You thought that the seminary takeover and the Bible college denomination spilling into the church is bad enough with the moral issues? At the same time, they're pushing this one world religion agenda, and it spills downhill. And I think we're already seeing that, because how in the world could we already be at that number? It's because it's coming from here, because it's coming from here, because it's been taken over. They knew exactly what they were doing, folks. Okay. And dozens of churches now promoting Islam from Denver to Boise, Idaho, San Francisco, even Honolulu. They're planning to send a message, quote, both here at home and to the Arab and Muslim world about respect for Islam, with a time to read the Quran during their worship services. The Interfaith Alliance of Human Rights First is calling on Christian clergy to read portions of the Quran during their services Sunday. Never will happen here. In fact, churches are now letting Muslims use their facilities. Heart Song Church near Memphis is allowing Muslims to hold Ramadan prayers in its building. Aldersgate United Methodist Church in Alexandria, Virginia, holding Islamic Circle of North America to hold regular prayer meetings in its facility. And as one man said, is this what we should be doing as Christians? I don't think so. Let's take a look at this real quick.
2 Protestant churches are taking some heat for opening their church buildings to Muslims needing a place to worship because their own facilities were either too small or under construction.
Some see it as a Christian duty. Others disagree. We're back with Governor Huckabee with more on this. So is this counter run against everything these churches stand for?
Well, you know, as much as I respect the autonomy of each local church, you just wonder, what are they thinking? I mean, if the purpose of a church is to push forth the gospel of Jesus Christ, and then you have a Muslim group that says that Jesus Christ and all the people who follow him are a bunch of infidels who should be essentially obliterated, I guess I have a hard time understanding that. I mean, if a church is nothing more than a facility and a meeting place free for any and all viewpoints without regard to what it is, then should the church be rented out to show adult movies on the weekend? I mean, where does this end? How far does it go?
Exactly. Now, for those of you who have only been here since our new facility, we had to deal with this as a church several times at our old facility. And I'll never forget, one time I had a Seventh-day Adventist guy came in. He wanted to use our facility. And boy, he was nice and syrupy and sweet-talking and very cordial. And I said, well, come on in my office. Let's talk, right? And I was never going to let him step foot in there. There's no way, right? But I wanted to see his spiel. So I sat down and listened to his spiel and how they want to help the community and this and the good church and whatever. I says, let me ask you some questions. Just make sure I'm not getting this wrong. I said, but do you believe that worshiping on Sunday is unbiblical, and that actually that's a sign of what you say is the mark of the beast, and that those of us that do that because this is what they teach, folks. If you don't believe me, go get our Seventh-day Adventist study online. Okay, we already dealt with this. And he looked at me again like that Jewish guy, like, you're not supposed to know that. And I says, well, I got a hard problem with that because why would we want to rent the facility to you and you're undermining everything that we believe in? Then we went on down with the investigative judgment. And there is no assurance. They believe that when you die as a Seventh-day Adventist, you die and go and take the big nap. And then later down the road, it's called the investigative judgment. Jesus will look at your works and then judge then whether or not you're worthy to get to heaven. That's a false gospel. That's works-based. I said, do you believe that? I said, plus, we only teach here that it's just the Bible. It's the Bible and Bible alone. But you guys follow a false prophetess called Ellen G. White, and you actually mix her words in with your version of the Bible called the Clear Word Bible, which the only thing that's clear about it is that it's a perversion. And we went down the line. And for some reason, as we went down the line, his countenance changed. And yet still at the end, he was like, so you going to do it? I said, no. I said, I can't. It's impossible. Oh, he got mad. And I go, well, there goes your spirituality. Right out the window. He just left stomp. I can't believe it. And he was yelling, every church I've ever been involved in, nobody's ever treated like this. And I said, well, that's a sad note. Right? Because anybody that's worth their salt would have told you the same thing. This is what the Bible teaches. Right? So we even had across, if you guys remember, they were building that Buddhist temple right across from us. They came over one time. They wanted to use our facility because they were having some big Buddhist guy come in and they couldn't house it. And they got all mad again. But again, why couldn't we do that? Because we're intolerant. We're bigots. No. Come out from among them, be ye separate. I will witness to you. Are you hungry? I'll give you a sandwich and then tell you about Jesus too. Right? Because that's the excuse. It's not just feeding them. You tell them about Jesus. That's the false social gospel. Right? Need some help? I'll help mow, do something, a good deed to help you out if your truck broke down or something like that. I'll do that. But I'm not going to allow you to use our facilities to propagate a message that's leading people straight to hell. And yet that's what you're seeing is going on. It's nuts. But let me give you, it gets worse ago. We're about ready to done. But that's all. We're now seeing churches remove their crosses to become inclusive. Now, you know what the first step is? We've already seen this here in Vegas. I won't have to mention the name, but you know who I'm talking about. There's big churches, facilities anyway, who drop the name Christian from their church. Step one. And then there's churches today that get launched today. There's no Christianese at all. Mosaic. It's like they're trying to be cool. It isn't just being cool. It's this, we don't want anybody to know that we're Christian. It's like you're ashamed of that. That's why we said Sunrise, because that's been our name since it was Sunrise Manor, is where the church was born. But we kept that. But it's also Bible church. It's okay to admit that you follow the Bible in your church. But that's not what's going on today. But I'm telling you, that's step one. Now, watch this. C3 Exchange. Now, it used to be called Christ Community Church, but that's not good. So let's call it C3 Exchange. What is that, a financial institution? You go invest your money? It's nuts. But watch this. That was step one. And I'm telling you, even here in Vegas, you better be prepared for it. These places you think would never cave, watch this. So-called Reverend Ian Lawton there, the church's pastor, said the name change and the what? Removing of the cross was designed to reflect the church's diverse members. Quote, our community has been really open-minded for some years now, apostate. And we've had a number of Muslim people, Jewish people, Buddhists, and atheists. We're not just catching up to ourselves, or quote, we're just catching up to ourselves. In other words, we've been taken over by a bunch of fakers. And quote, we honor the cross, but the cross is just one symbol in our community. And you know what? They were so proud of that, removing the cross, that they even took a video of it. Watch this. This is crazy. Wow. That's what's wrong with our country, isn't it? Removing God, the Bible, prayer, even taking the cross out. Don't even want to be called Christian. Journey. You know why? Because the enemy has taken over the church, as well as the world. And the Bible tells us, and it's the only book on the planet that tells us, where's all this headed? Why are they doing this at the same time? Both entities, the world and the church. Because it's all headed towards a one world religion. And these are the excuses, the moral issue and the spiritual issue, that the fakers in the church who now control the bulk of the church and the church institutions will support. And they're being touted as the good guys. And I'm telling you, we've already moved into stage 2. We're the bad guys. We're the fake Christians. And they're going to move to that next step if we don't start speaking up like God tells us to, the salt, the light, and the resistance. And we're going to become the next target. But we'll get to that, Lord willing, next time. And that will finish out our studies. And back to the encouraging topic of voodoo, vampires, and the rise of demon worship. But let's pray.